So, my friend, I want to ask you, have you been listening to some of my podcasts for a while and identified for yourself all the areas that you feel your business could be better in? Maybe you just are so busy you haven't yet mastered the working as much as you like bit. Or maybe you're just not bringing in the money, like you're struggling with the income, or it's just not enough. Well, it's time for us to have a conversation. In the show notes, there is a link to my evolution call. If you're a dance boss and you are ready to take action, let's have a chat and let's see where I can take you. Hello and welcome, lovelies, to the Ultimate Dance Business Podcast. My name is Deborah Laws, the dance business expert. My passion is to help you turn your passion into profit while guiding you to work less and earn more. I'm super excited to share interviews with you that I know will inspire and motivate you in your schools, as well as my solo shows where I shall be sharing some great tips and strategies. So if you love the show, please do remember to review, subscribe, and share it with your fellow dance boss friends. So let's get stuck into the business of dance. Now, today I have a lovely guest with me, and this guest in particular is really going to resonate with you folks because Amy runs a dance studio just like the majority of you. And I haven't actually done very many podcasts with dance studio owners. But this lady, and we were talking about it just now before we came on, this lady reached out to me with such a compelling reason as to why she feels we could have a lovely chat today, that I was like, do you know what? I'm going to say yes. We're going to do this. And so I'd love to introduce you to Amy Pryor. Amy, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Oh, very welcome. So, Amy, I mean, I'm sure everybody listening would know, what it was that you said in your message. We'll go into that a little bit later. First of all, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself? And I made some notes here because when we ask people to introduce themselves, normally the first thing they talk about is what they do, what their job is, what they do for a career. And actually, we're going to talk loads about that in a minute. What I want to know a little bit about is, tell me about you. Who is Amy Pryor?
Well, lots of people think that because I'm in the dance world that I'm a huge extrovert, but it's completely the opposite. I'm actually an introvert. I surround myself with just a small group of friends. I love being at home and reading a book, being with my little girl. So I'm actually quite low key in that sense. And then when I am at dancing, like this other personality takes over. And I think really like when I was younger, I was quite shy. Perhaps didn't always feel like I fitted in. And that's when I started dance, and that passion kind of helped me to grow in confidence a lot. So yeah, I guess that's me. I'm pretty like, I don't know, I'd say like just pretty chilled when I'm
Yeah,
at home. Yeah.
yeah. I love the way you did that then, because I think a lot of people can resonate with that. Me for sure as well. I think in terms of, because we learn from a very early age how to perform and how to step onto a stage with confidence and become somebody else, we then learn how we can do that in our life. So the real Amy might actually be a fairly quiet, introverted, shy, love my own space, my own company, my home type of person. When you step in that studio door, you become Amy the principal, Amy the studio owner, Amy the person in charge, Amy the confident leader. And I think, would you agree that those are skills? We're able to do that because they're skills we learn from the minute we step on stage, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. You learn that from day dot, really, how to present yourself. And I always say this to my dancers, and dance school owners will absolutely understand this, that when dancers get to a certain age, their teenage years, that is when you can see a fall in retention. You know, they want to be with their friends and all of this. But I always try and say, you know, even if you don't want to go and do dance, you're going to learn skills that you can absolutely carry on into your everyday life, like how to have good posture and how to meet and greet someone in an interview. You'll know what's expected of you, how to present yourself. And I just say, like, recently we've done some quite big performances, and I've said, if you can perform in front of like 500 people, 2,000 people, you can absolutely go and do an interview. So it's definitely, yeah, dance has definitely helped me carry those skills into my everyday life and vice versa, really.
Yeah, and I think we all get that, we all understand that. And so, thank you for giving us a little insight to you, the person, Amy. But tell us now a little bit about your school, and in particular, what does your school stand for? What's the personality of your school?
Okay. So my school is actually 20 years old in June, which is crazy. But when I look back to the first classes that I did, I actually cringe because I'm like, I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. All I know is I had like my dance qualifications. I did have a degree in dance. And I was like, oh, let's set up some dance classes. Like, how hard can it be? And whilst I was doing that, I was also a dance teacher in a secondary school. Like, that was kind of my main job, and my dance school was like my second job. And I just wanted to do it to be creative, and I taught in other dance schools and loved it, but I wanted to have that freedom to be creative, to teach like what I wanted to teach. And from day one, I've always wanted to include the students. Like, I've always been like, what music do you like? You know, what do you want to learn, and how we can marry that along with the actual technique and things like that. And then the school just grew and grew. So I left teaching in a secondary school, and the dance school became my full time job. Um, but our values, um, we basically, all my team, we don't take ourselves too seriously. Like, we have boundaries in class, we don't stand for messing around, but we will laugh at ourselves. You only have to look at our Instagram. We will, if we make a mistake, we will say, oh, yep, that's not right. So I think we're quite relatable as a team of teachers, and the ethos in the dance school is quite relatable. We're so massive on building confidence and making everyone seen and heard as an individual. So we don't want everyone to come out you know, carbon copies of each other. We want your personality to come out. We want your interest to shine through. And we do brand ourselves as being inclusive. But we'll talk more about this word in a moment, because that's how I got your attention in the first place. But you know, real inclusivity. So, how we can adapt the environment for children with special educational needs, how we can adapt the environment for someone that is maybe going through a tough time at home. You know, the shy child that wants to dance but can't get over that barrier. So really priding ourselves on knowing every student, and the teachers really get to form those connections with the children, but also with our dance parents as well.
Mm, yeah, and I mean, this all sounds gorgeous and yummy. And if I was a parent that lived in your area and I was listening to this right now, I think I would love the sound of your school. But you mentioned a word, and you're right. This was the area that kind of piqued my attention. That's the word inclusivity. Now, I feel like, I don't know your thoughts on this, Amy, but I feel like in the last few years, this has become a word that we never used to use. Like, it never cropped up. It wasn't on a website. It wasn't something we spoke about. To almost becoming, and I say this precariously and carefully because I don't want it to sound like it's not coming from a caring place, but it's almost become, in terms of marketing, a bit of a buzzword. And one of the things that I often say to people is, okay, what does your school stand for? Like I asked you, what are your school's values? What are you all about? What makes you different to the dance schools, the other 17 dance schools down the road? And the first thing people say to me is, well, we're fun and friendly and we're inclusive. And you and I were having a quick chat about this just now, and not a giggle as such, but we were kind of agreeing that fun and friendly and inclusive has become so well used now that it almost isn't worth anything anymore. Because who doesn't want to send their child to a school that feels fun and is friendly and is inclusive? Like, it's almost like that's just the bottom level of what parents expect now. So you can't be using that as a come to us because because we are standard, because we deliver what everyone else does. So what really does this word inclusivity mean, and how can we stop it being a buzzword anymore? How can we give it true value and meaning?
Quite a big dance convention, and every dance school pretty much describe themselves as fun, friendly, and inclusive, which is lovely. Um, but I feel like this should be standard practice in 2026. The other word as well is a safe space. You're not, as a parent, I don't want to send my child somewhere that isn't safe. Like, that should be guaranteed. So I feel like these words have been perhaps used in a way to reassure parents, but actually they're having a negative impact, because those things should be standard. And inclusivity, I think people have to be careful with that, because you need to ask yourself, are you actually inclusive? What does that actually mean to you? And I do talk from personal, um, like a personal point of view, because my daughter is autistic, and we've taken her to clubs where I've had, lovely conversations with the owners of, they're like not dance necessarily, but other clubs. Yes, we're inclusive, we can look after her. And I'm like, can you put this in place, this, and this? Yes, yes, yes. And then you get there and she's treated exactly the same as the others. And I'm like, it's not going to work. Like, you need that slight change, and it doesn't have to be something massive. Just small changes in your approach can really make a difference. So I think inclusivity now, you really need to be sure that yourself and your team are actually offering what you are marketing, if you're going to use that on
Yeah.
your marketing.
Yes. And I almost, as you're explaining that, Amy, I'm almost feeling like there's a scale, like a sliding scale of inclusivity, like 0 to 10. And, it's almost as if we can say we're inclusive because in our minds we're thinking, well, we're nice to everyone. Everyone gets the same. We give, we don't have an elite team or program in our school. Everybody gets a chance to be in the show. Everybody gets a chance to go on our trips and our outings, and therefore we are inclusive. Or and have like a competition team where there's more focus on those people. We're a recreational, fun and friendly school wherever treated the same. Now, for some people, that is what being inclusive means. But on a scale of 0 to 10, on a sliding scale, that's probably only around a 4 or a 5. I'm guessing. Would
Yeah,
you?
I agree. Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think some people think because they welcome everyone, which is brilliant and quite rightly you should, that is being inclusive. But I think the word inclusive somewhere along the line has got a little bit misinterpreted. And actually, now, and you know what, you can have a school that is like that and you welcome everyone and everyone does your shows and activities, and that's all you want to do. That is fine. But then that's where you need to look at the word inclusive, because for me, I want to welcome everyone regarding, if they have a special educational need, a mental health need, if they're going through a tough time, if they're in care or fostered. Like, every child, I want to be able to adapt the environment, the lesson, the way we teach to suit that child.
Yes. So if we are a school that doesn't have the confidence or the skill to be inclusive in that respect, and really what we're trying to say is we just welcome everybody and we're a non-competitive school and everybody's allowed all the opportunities, then we need to start wording that slightly differently, like you said, in the marketing and on the websites. And this could be, for example, we accept all standards. We accept we are nobody is this isn't an elite school, everyone has the same opportunities. Like, word it in a way that shows that that's what you mean by being inclusive. But if you want to go to kind of a 5 to a 10, if we stick with the sliding scale, I love the use of your wording, adaptability. Because actually, what that says, to be able to say, we adapt to every little human that walks in the door, we will cater to everybody's individual needs by adapting ourselves for them. Would you say that that's more going towards full inclusivity?
Yeah, I would say that is full inclusivity. And you know what? I don't want dance teachers to listen to this and be like, oh my goodness, we can't offer like this to everyone. We do have like an elite program and that is what we want to focus on. That is okay. That is absolutely fine. I think some people get a bit worried around the word inclusivity as well. It's a bit like, oh, if I don't want to get this wrong. That is absolutely fine. But use your marketing to attract those students. I think this is where your marketing, and I know we're talking about inclusivity, but it goes back to that first point of call with whoever is looking at your leaflet, your Instagram. You go on our Instagram, you will see we're not trying to be an elite school. We don't do like world championships and stuff like that. And the vibe from it, you get that straight away. So it's okay if this isn't what you want as well, but please use your marketing to attract your ideal customer, because A, that person will feel more at ease when they come to you and you'll get a better reputation. And B, you won't be wasting time saying like, oh, actually, I can't offer that. Or actually, you'd be better at, I've had people come to my school and I've gone, you know what? This dance school will suit you much more if you want to compete and you want to get to and you want to do X, Y, and Z. You need to go there. And they've gone, really? And I'm like, yeah. And then I've had a message saying, oh, thank you. She's like doing really well. So it's okay to be different, but use your marketing to show that to people.
Yeah, I think that's so important and so relevant, Amy, because at the end of the day, what happens if we don't get that right is it's almost like we're speaking a certain type of language, but then when they turn up, they find out we actually speak something different. And then leads to parents feeling a little bit confused, but also a little bit let down. Like, it leads a sense of, we thought you were this, and actually you haven't met our expectations because in reality you're this. And then that person ends up probably making you feel a little bit hurt, sad, disgruntled, because they're going to tell you at some point that they're really unhappy and that they're not impressed with you. So that's cause an emotional upset to you as a studio owner, because we all care about everybody so much. But then they're going to leave and then have nothing but bad things to say about you, which then isn't good for our local reputation either. So much better if we attract, like you said, the right people because they're the right fit for us. And a lot of people that listen to my podcast or follow me have heard me say that element before in our marketing. But what I would love to know then, Amy, is the person that is listening, that is identifying themselves as, oh gosh, think I'm the person that's on a 5 out of 10 in terms of inclusivity. This is how I treat it and how I view it and what I say to the world. But I don't want to be that, actually. I want to be a lot more. Like, I want to be the Amy out there that she approaches it in her school, but I have no idea how to offer that level of support or how to even manage that in my school. So I think that would be a really nice area for us to go into now. I am just going to pause here for a second because I just want to check that you know all about my new software, Dance Business Solutions. And if you don't, then I would love to show it to you. You can book a demo where I will show you around
I'm letting
the
you go
magic that I
because
have
this is all
created in Dance
beautiful
Business
information.
Solutions. And you can
No.
see just what it will do for your business. So from websites to selling events to managing your customers, managing your inquiries, creating surveys, planning your social media, like it does a gazillion things. And they're all very exciting because I have pre-built most of it for you already using my wisdom and expertise as a dance business coach. So go to dancebusinesssolutions.com as soon as you finish listening to my podcast and click on book a demo. And I cannot wait for one of my team to show you around.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got some quick tips that some you can literally start this week with your dance school. And I think the first thing is people think you need to do something really crazy and completely change your whole school. There's lots of things you can do that are really quite simple and quite easy to pop into your dance classes. So the first one is to talk to the parents and to talk to the children. So, for example, if you've got a new student coming to your dance school and they're like, my daughter is autistic, we all know that everyone who is autistic is very different. So, a quick phone call, what does your child like? How could we help her? My child hates loud noises. So, for example, I'd probably say, like, can she wear her ear defenders in class? Absolutely. But another child might be like, oh, can she just come in like a few minutes earlier to assess the space and get to know you first? Simple things like we've had chats and the parents are like, oh, she doesn't know what a teacher looks like. So we've said, right, on our Instagram, you've got to meet the team, and the parents have showed her that. And I think teachers worry that they think they have to know it all. You absolutely don't. Like, a parent will happily tell you what their child needs. And if the child is of an age where they can express certain things, so some of my older students are like, oh, can I just have like 2 minutes? That choreography was a bit intense. I just need 2 minutes, to grab a drink and refocus. I got a bit overwhelmed. I know those kids that need that, and the ones that would be like, no, carry on. You think you're good. So just communication is a massive thing. And with inclusivity, I think people worry they're going to say the wrong thing. But I think if you're just honest and open, people will appreciate that and will be happy to chat to you. And then the second thing is to communicate that to your staff and your team. So, like I've said, my experience before is I've spoke to the owner of a club, but then that information wasn't passed on to whoever was doing that club or that class on the night. And then thinking about if you are doing shows, you might have teachers that don't normally teach that person. So again, that person needs to have access to that information. However you do that, you might have a Trello board, you all have access to a WhatsApp team, WhatsApp group. And with that communication, share your ideas. So one of my students is currently doing private lessons with a few children who are autistic. And they've said, she was like, oh, I did this the other day. It worked so well. You might want to do it in your class on a Saturday. And I was like, brilliant. And someone else tried it on a Tuesday. So it's sharing your knowledge really with your team. Staff training, we have regular training days. We've just had one where we did training on ADHD. Before that, we had a training on autism, and which is quite nice because some of our staff are on the spectrum or are ADHD as well, and they had their input into it. So it's not just being inclusive for your children necessarily, thinking about how you can help your team members. And then changing the environment. So you might want to, if you've got really bright studio lights, you can dim them a little bit for certain students. The smell of you used really kind of intense like air fresheners or stuff. Some students won't like that. Sound, they can where I've got a child that did the show in ear defenders, which is fine, because it is loud. Uniform, we have a uniform, but there's one or two students that they find the material of our top just not nice for them, so they
Okay.
just have a plain black top, or they can get their own top, and I would then get my supplier to put my logo on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, thinking about uniform positions in the studio. Some kids like I constantly like to move the kids around the room, but some students, you know, they're like, I like to be on the front left, and that's my area. Okay, for that child, we're not going to move them. Having things like fidget toys available. Expectations, if you've got a child, you know, with ADHD and you're doing a big long talk about the history of ballet, don't expect them to sit still. As long as, you know, they'll still be listening, but they probably will be like jigging their leg or moving their arm. Give them something to have in their hands. That's absolutely fine. Pairing them up with a safe person or buddy that they like. Having a calm space. If you've got a reception area, you might want like a little pop-up a 10 or something, and maybe like one of your assistant teachers or the receptionist could watch them if they need a little bit of time out. Using special interests. So the one class, we did a whole half term on My Little Pony because I knew it was someone's real special interest. At the moment, one of my teachers is doing something on Pokemon. So use people's special interests. Positivity, even if all they've done is turn up. For some kids, that's been a lot that day. Clear routines and short instructions. This is something I've found that works really good. Some people especially if they are processing sensory disorder, if you said to them, go to the bar, feet in first, arms bra bar, that's too much. They're probably going to get arms bra bar. They'll still be in the middle. So I kind of break it down. So I'm like, at the bar, everyone to the bar. Then I'm like, feet in first, everyone's done that. Then arms bra bar. So something just really simple like that can have quite a big impact on your studio.
Yeah, there's so much lovely insight and beautiful tips there. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that even if some people listening do some of those, they don't necessarily do all of them. But I think also I think there's a lot of people are nowadays a little bit scared of dealing with children that are different to the children that they normally deal with. And so kind of try and make them fit into the box of where they feel comfortable teaching. Like, this is how we do it. So you've got to try and fit into this rather than expanding yourself, expanding how you feel to be in a position there. I mean, if they've got a great principal that's happy to do trainings for them and bring people together and discuss these topics and give these tips, and that's amazing and that's really helpful. But what would you say to another principal that is really keen to embrace this subject further, but doesn't really do team and hasn't really kind of mentored a team before? Like, especially if you're a younger teacher and you've got older teachers that work for you, like how do we go about getting our team on board with learning, basically?
Well, first of all, I'm going to be brutally honest. You might not like this. You need to do team training. I just think like a team training is a non-negotiable, and it's a really good way of getting your group to bond. Like we have the team at mine, they like love the team training days. Like we're all together because we're very rarely all together because we teach all different days, and we enjoy it and we have fun. So that would be first tip. Um, but I think baby steps. I think like if you're overnight going, right, you need to do this, this, and this, that's going to be a lot for anyone. And you're not trying to completely change a teacher. Like that is not what you're trying to do. But it could just be first of all that you're going to do more check-in calls with parents. So you could have like maybe your admin staff doing some check-in calls and then you go, oh, I don't know, little Bobby in class is going through this at home. So they might be a bit more sensitive. So could you just keep an eye on them? Because we do use inclusivity to look at looking after our SEN children, but also there's a lot of children that will just be going through general life stuff that need adaptations. So, maybe someone's had a family bereavement, they're going to be a bit more sensitive. I had a mom that said, like, please, can you not play these songs because it really reminds her of, like, her grandparents, and they'd gone through a bereavement. So I was like, right, to a teacher, you cannot play these songs. Like, she gets really upset. So it's just little things like that. And I would say a lot of things around inclusivity are just about having empathy and compassion for someone. Just put yourself, like, if that was your child, or if that was your sister, or if that was your friend, how would you want them to feel in class? And I think sometimes inclusivity has been blown up to be this big, like, grand thing. It's just basic compassion, really. So
Yeah.
just getting your teachers to do small things, little bits here and there.
Yeah, and I think, one of the biggest things I'm taking away from this is just the communication piece. Communicating with the parent, communicating with the child, communicating with your team, and then continuing that loop so that, we assume that the children that don't need any of this, just fit into the daily life of the studio, and they turn up, they do their class, and they, it's all fine. Some children just need you to go the extra mile. They need that extra time and effort and and care from us. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be doing anything vastly different, but you just need to be checking in. Has anything changed? Are they still enjoying their class? And I think the piece about getting to know that child so that or you have an understanding of how it can work for them, how we make the class adaptable for them, that you can't get without having a good relationship with their carer, without having those insights. And I know over a period of time, you would probably learn some stuff about the child. But, I think showing that from day one and having those communications, and, we're all getting nowadays, the email, well, I've got an autistic child, would you accept them? I think the first thing is pop in, with your child. Let's have a chat. Come and see the environment. Come and see the studio. Let me meet your child. You know, let's see what your child needs from us to see if we can create that for them.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, don't be worried if a child comes and doesn't even dance. Like, take baby steps for you and the child. If they come and they're watching maybe for the first week, and then the next week they come and they do like half the class, or you can build things up. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing situation, especially for some children, that they're going to take longer than others, and that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Amy, I'm just thinking, how do you manage if a child actually needs more in their class situation in terms of really they need a one-to-one helper with them? Is that something that you would take on the expense for that? Is it something that you would expect the parent to pay for that level of additional care? Like, how do we manage that situation?
So we are quite lucky that I do have some teachers that are very well trained, and they are there for majority of the classes, but they can do one-to-one support. So there's a few occasions in classes where a child, maybe due to mobility issues, has a teacher present with them, next to them all the time. And we have taken that on board as a school to incur that charge. But that's because I'm something very passionate about. Also, because I believe we charge correctly across the school, and we have correct flow of income. We have a good booking system. The way everyone pays, we can afford to have that in place. And I am happy to have that as one of our expenses. Sometimes at shows, that I'll be honest, that has become a little bit more difficult. When you have like your whole school there, we need those teachers for other areas. So we have said like, would so for in this instance, the parent was happy to be with them backstage, and then my teacher went on stage with them, but that parent was with them all the time. And I think you'll find, like, I've had to do that with some experiences with, like, my little girl goes to Rainbows, but on the trips it's a little bit much with her if she didn't have one-to-one. So they said, could you come along? And I'm like, yeah, I want my child to do it, so I will happily be there. And this mom, like, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't like we just said, right, mom, you need to be at the show, otherwise your daughter can't do it. Like, we had that again, that communication, we had that conversation, like, do you want to be there? And then the teacher will go on stage with them, or is there someone else we can ask? Again, it's about communication. I do know some other schools that, if they can't provide that, they allow the parent in to help um, their son or daughter. So I think with that, it's about looking at your circumstances, and about again speaking to the parent, because there might be some things that are medical that as dance teachers you're not qualified to do. And again, that's okay. We are dance teachers, we're not medical professionals. So if you need a parent there, then that's okay, because again, we're not meant to know everything.
Yeah. And I suppose, it's not unreasonable for some schools that perhaps are smaller schools, and maybe, the additional costs of a one-to-one support would be really crippling for them. I don't think it's unreasonable for parents to be able to say, we will do absolutely everything we can in our power to adapt our classes for your child, but you're going to have to work with us. One of the things we cannot do is afford one-to-one support for them. So you'll have to be that one-to-one support. And if you can work with us, we'll then work with you, but you will need to be with your child for the duration of the class. It's all about finding a way to make it work for everyone. And in terms of, you mentioned when we were having a chat before, about inclusivity also helping with retention. Like, how does this help long term with retention?
So I think, first of all, when dancers, if you've got an inclusive space, a truly inclusive space, dancers will feel safe and they will feel understood. They will feel valued and that they belong, and they will continue to come to your classes. Parents will also trust you and your school, and they will be happy to send their child there. Um, so it helps to really build that trust and that bond between the school, families and children, which is so, so important. It massively increases confidence, especially for children that are maybe special educational needs. They may have, school is tough for them. They may have been to other clubs and not been able to do it. And then suddenly they're at this dance club where they can do it because certain things have been put in place. That boost in confidence is amazing, and they will just continue to come. And, that's just a beautiful thing that as a teacher you can see.
Yeah.
But also, absolutely, that child will then want to stay with you.
Yeah.
It builds emotional connections between the teachers and the students, which is lovely, and which is what I'm all about. I have this little, my team roll their eyes at me because I always say it. But I'm like, the child comes for the class to start with, but they stay for the experience and they stay for the community. So I think that's really important. It will increase word of mouth referrals. And if you can get those parents to do you a testimony, it's just going to increase your reach to other people. And it builds a really good reputation for your school. Like, I have people phoning up going, oh, I heard you can help me, like my child, is autistic, or they've got ADHD, and someone recommended you because you've helped their child. And it's just really lovely that you are being referred for that. And so for with retention, if you can get it right, it is a win-win.
Yeah, yeah, lovely. And would you ever suggest, I mean, I don't know if you have any of these, but how do you feel about having specific classes that are for kids? Do you feel like there should be separate classes and they would thrive better in that environment? Or do you think they should be integrated into all of the rest of the classes?
Yeah, so I ask a lot of people ask me that, and they're like, "Why don't you do a like, for example, SEN class?" Um, and I've just it's just never really. We've always just managed the children to adapt the environment that they've gone into the mainstream classes. I do have some children that have private lessons because they won't come in to the mainstream classes, but they wouldn't come into any group setting. So it no matter what it was. Um, but yeah, we've never explored it, to be honest. But I think if you want to do that at your school, absolutely, why not? Like, we have school like educational schools that do that. So if you've got the right teachers and the right space to do it, I don't see why that wouldn't be a lovely thing.
Yeah, and I almost feel like both is great and both is equally wonderful. Like there's not a right or wrong way. There's not a, well, what you should really be doing is this, or you shouldn't really be doing that. Like I feel like they both have, both those options, if you like, both are equally successful and beautiful for you and for the child.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is make sure if you are again advertising a SEN class that it is going to be an SEN class, because I've gone to like, I don't know, Stay and Play advertised as an SEN only, and you get there and it's exactly the same as the normal Stay and Play. So again, if that is going to be something you're going to advertise and do, what changes are you going to put in place to make sure that that is what you're actually doing?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And again, that goes back to the turning up and then being totally underwhelmed and disappointed with the experience because you were expecting it to be something specifically aimed at your child and then it wasn't, And so, thinking about what those classes look like, if you're going to do an SEN class, what's the environment? How are we going to change the environment? How are we going to change the lighting? What props are we going to use that we maybe wouldn't use in a normal class? What's the pace of the class going to now be? What music are we going to use? How much are we teaching within this class? Is it important, relevant to us how much they teach? Is it more about the social side? And there's a bit of dance that comes into it. It's about, creating something if you're going to market it as that, as really being that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've just the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I have personal experience. So although I'm very into it with my dancing, I have been on that other side of it as a parent, and it can be very disheartening when you've got your child already and you get there and you like, soon as you walk in, you like, this isn't going to work. So yeah, you want to make sure that you are managing the expectations that you've expressed.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. Well, I mean, there's been a lot there actually we've discussed today, and a lot for people to go away and think about. And there could be some people that just listened and just thought, oh my gosh, we're doing so well because we do all of those things, and maybe they've got other things as well. We'll always encourage people to drop comments. Whether if they're watching on YouTube, they can drop comments for us in there. If they see a post on my social media groups, they can comment in there. Like, we'd love to know everybody else's experiences. Because, this is changing all the time. You're talking about SEN kids and not, and we're talking about certain conditions that didn't feel like they even existed 20 years ago. I mean, obviously they did, but they weren't stream public knowledge. I mean, in terms of, just to kind of wrap up on this lovely conversation, Amy, in terms of how you now teach in 2026 compared to how you might have taught 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you had started your school. How do you think it's changed?
Oh, massively. Like, I think I don't we knew like I was probably in a bit of a different situation because I was training as a teacher in a secondary school when I set up my school. So we had some training, but it was very basic. And I look back at the training we had on autism, and it was just basically like an autistic child is X, Y, and Z. And now we know that is so not the truth. Um, so I think my teaching was quite rigid, and I learned very early on. I was like, why is this not working for that child? And that's when I started kind of realizing that we're not all the same. And if you can just tap into something, I had a little boy. This wasn't in my dance school. This was in my secondary school I was teaching at, and he had a special interest in rabbits. So when I found him some books on rabbits, and he would then come into the class, and he spent the first few weeks just taking notes and drawing pictures of the rabbits. And he refused to dance. And then one day, after about 4 weeks, he said, "Oh, can I make the dance? And can I do it like about a rabbit?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, we're not doing that in class, but absolutely." Like, and then he started dancing. And then from that, he was like, "Oh, can I dance with the others now?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I think I've been quite privileged really to meet so many children, and I just spotted that, you know, not everyone's the same, probably because a little bit deep down I feel a little bit quirky, and I was like that at school. So I think just as a teacher I've learned to adapt and not keep going if something isn't working. And I think that is the biggest, if you've got one takeaway from this podcast, is to not keep going with something if it's not working. Change it up and don't be afraid to try something new.
I love that. I love that because actually we do that as teachers all the time, don't we? You know, in our teaching methodology, if we're teaching this version, maybe it's a vision, maybe it's demonstration, but they're not getting it. Maybe they need to hear the words instead, or maybe we need to listen to what the sounds are with our eyes closed. Like we all use different ways of teaching because everyone's going to learn in a different way. This is the same thing, isn't it? No, something's not working for that child because the music's too loud and they can't focus and concentrate. That's equally just adapting our teaching methods. And I think it's just going outside of the, oh, well, they're visual or they're kinesthetic or they're audio learners. Like, actually, no, there's other types of learners out there. And we just need to be prepared to, like you say, watch, listen, communicate, and then adapt. Oh, that gave me goosebumps. I feel like we just put a mantra together there, Amy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, my love. That has been incredibly lovely listening to you as a studio owner, but in particular, you know, this topic that we've talked about today. And I am absolutely sure that you know, it's been received really beautifully by all of our lovely listeners. Amy, you've listened to some of my podcasts. You know, at the very end, I just throw out some random quick questions. So this is a really topic now. Well, she was happy, everyone, while we were talking about this subject. It's just fun, literally a little bit of fun. It has nothing to do with the topic we've been talking about. It's just the way I wrap up my podcast. So are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I'll keep them easy for you. Favorite ice cream?
Vanilla, really boring.
If you could sprinkle something on top of your vanilla ice cream, what would you sprinkle?
Chocolate sauce.
Okay, there we go. It's not so boring. Favorite dance experience?
Performing at the Albert Hall.
Oh, fabulous. Thing you would feel most passionate about in life?
My daughter.
Oh, amazing.
That's very cheesy, but it's true.
That's absolutely true from the heart. Something that you have on a bucket list that you want to do one day?
I want to go and travel around Italy.
Oh, gorgeous. And then last, if you could spend 15 minutes with someone that's no longer here, who would that be? Oh, gorgeous. I'm sure she'd be really proud. Bye. We'll say goodbye and we'll say thank you so much. It was really delightful and we really appreciate your time. And I know everybody will love this podcast episode. So thank you, my love.
Thank you so much.
So
So I wanted to tell you that this episode is kindly sponsored by Sally at Dance Studio Marketing, who is your go-to solution for growing your dance school through the power of social media. So if you're feeling overwhelmed at trying to attract new students, at Dance Studio Marketing, Sally helps dance studio owners just like you to leverage the power of social media and paid ads to bring in a steady stream of students, which of course helps you to achieve more balance in your life. So if you're ready to grow with less stress, visit sallyprendergast.com, or you can connect with Sally at Dance Studio Marketing on your favorite social media platform today. My clients are getting fabulous results using Sally. So let's get those ads going and let's get your school growing.